Governor Daniel Malloy is set to make an announcement at any moment now on the steps the state is taking to prepare for this blizzard.
News 8's chief political correspondent Mark Davis live at the State Emergency Operations Center in Hartford tonight. Mark.
Hi, Keith and Ann. Good evening, everyone, from the Emergency Operations Center at the State Armory in Hartford. For the past hour, the governor has been meeting in the conference room, which is actually directly behind this wall, with the heads of the utilities and the DOT and all the other state agencies and the state meteorologist who is here to get the exact forecast and to get the advice that he needs to decide exactly what to tell the public and whether or not he's going to be closing things down or exactly what he thinks you should do. Now, my recollection from 1978, I know there's been a lot of recollections on the air. I worked through it, and my recollection was the biggest problem was cars on the road that got stalled and stuck, and that was the big issue. Here now is the governor.
Thank you all for joining me. Thank you. I want to thank, again, all of you. As you are no doubt aware, we are preparing for potentially heavy snowfall in the state tomorrow. The National Weather Service has issued a blizzard warning for the entire state. Predictions are for moderate to heavy snowfall beginning at 3 p.m., but snow is likely to start in the morning. I will be activating the state EOC tomorrow, full activation at 9 a.m. Right now, DOT is pre-treating Department of Transportation is pre-treating highways and bridges throughout the state. We have 632 plows ready that will be deployed throughout the duration of the storm to make sure that critical roads are clear for passage, particularly for emergency vehicles and response vehicles. The state's utility companies are making preparations and bringing in crews from out of state. Right now, their primary concern is the high wind that can be associated with a blizzard and the damage that can cause to the system. We are expecting gusts in excess of 30 miles an hour for a long period of time, and therefore that's what we're most worried about with respect to energy. This reminds us of a couple of things. Number one, folks are going to start using generators at some point if their power goes out. Ventilating those generators appropriately is very important so we avoid CO poisoning. Secondly, as this snow begins to amount, particularly as we see snow piling up against houses, the vents for systems, heating system, have to be clear. And you know, you got to put your boots on and you got to go out and make sure that that vent is clear if it's a low-lying vent, and you need to keep an eye on it. I also want to say that I am urging local governments to make sure that critical roadways stay clear throughout the event. That means that work needs to be done on an ongoing basis to make sure roadways are clear so that we can respond as well as we are capable of doing, and so that the utilities in particular can respond. We are not closing state government at this time, but we will reassess the situation based on 9 p.m. Data that we'll get. And we'll speak to that further after that. If we open, and it's currently our expectation that we will open, we would expect early dismissals. So I want to, so we can update it, and we'll update this information to all of you later, but that's our expectation. Any non-essential travel, people should obviously stay off the roads throughout the duration of the storm. We will I want to give a specific warning to individuals who rely on mass transit, both bus and rail. These systems are capable of being closed down at any time during the storm, particularly when high winds come about. And this is true of the Metro North lines, which would likely close at any wind speeds that approach 40 miles an hour. Because they'll be concerned about the catenary system and the stability of that system. So if you're taking a train anywhere in Connecticut tomorrow, you have to do that with an expectancy that that system at some point tomorrow is likely to close. With respect to buses, we can't send buses out or continue to have buses on roads that are uncleared, and therefore that system could become challenge. The other things I want to say is a number of our, I'm watching on TV, as school systems are closing, a number of our state universities have already announced closure, Western, Southern, Eastern, a number of our community colleges. I urge students and faculty to stay in touch with those closings as they're going to be occurring over the forthcoming hours. FEMA will be here tomorrow in the afternoon to help with any response. Obviously, we continue to have a number of FEMA personnel in the state relating to Sandy. They will be joining us tomorrow. With that, I'd be happy to take some questions.
Governor, you mentioned that the utilities were bringing in crews from out of state. This is obviously a region-wide event encompassing all of New England, New York, and beyond. So are they going to have problems bringing them in, or are they coming from outside of the region? They are putting those teams together. In our conversations, they are reaching beyond the immediate area. So, for instance, they're bringing crews from further away. There's going to be trouble traveling after about 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, as you've acknowledged. So unless they get them here overnight tonight and tomorrow morning from way far away, and sometimes it takes days to get here.
Yeah, they are obviously in the process of calling those individuals in and up and have plans to pre-position crews. I will also tell you that there's, you can't put a person up in a bucket truck while the wind is blowing at 40 miles an hour. So even having those crews, we can't assure when they'll be able to do the work. They will respond, obviously, to emergency situations around hospitals and the like.
So when you're updated tonight by your forecaster at 9 p.m., you would email the media with regard to what employees will do, or you'll do something in the morning about if there's going to be early decisions?
It would be our intention to get additional information to you all.
How concerned are you about the wintry mix, the rain or the ice in the morning and then the snow, and that being a real danger to people on the roads early tomorrow?
That's clearly one of the things that we want to assess a little later this evening. Right now, we know the forecast that we got from the federal government talks about heavy snows at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If that was to shift, then we'd have to rethink our strategy. But our strategy right now is that we'll be open with expecting early closure. We'll take a look at this evening's later forecast as well as the ones in the morning.
Are you giving any advice to businesses?
We are. We'll have a municipal call in the morning. We are recommending municipalities open their EOC. We are recommending that municipalities plow throughout the occurrence. And that is going, that's being transmitted, that information is being transmitted as I speak electronically.
Have you made any major recommendations to the major employers in Hartford, New Haven, et cetera?
Don DeFranzo is in communications with those folks. We do work with them, particularly in the Hartford area, on staggering closures or early dismissals. That will be our strategy.
Governor, we've already been hearing reports of gas outages and fuel shortages in various parts of the state. What can you
Milk and bread too. Yeah, I mean, what people do is prepare for the worst, and I think they should prepare for the worst, and at the same time hope for the best, so that if people want to, top off tanks, that's well within their discretion. If they want to get goods, all I ask is that you don't hoard things, right? That you understand if you need an extra loaf of bread in the house, that's fair. You need an extra gallon of milk, but don't hoard things.
Are you anticipating the same levels of shortages as we've seen in the past?
No. Again, based on the current forecast, and I have to be careful to say that, we don't anticipate the level of outages that we've experienced previously. But that's subject to change. Right now, both electric utilities, are treating this as an occurrence that would lead to the knocking out of energy to about 10% of their customers in each case. In one case, that's a Category 1, and the other utility, that's called a Category 2, but it's the same 10%. And that's primarily based on wind damage. If it changes, we'll keep you posted, I promise. How much do I think we're going to get? More than I want. I was looking at the records January 12th of 11. which I guess was, 6 days after I'd been sworn in, we had 24 inches. The range that we're seeing, that was a pretty bad storm. The range we're seeing includes 24 inches, at least for a substantial portion of the state. So I hope we have less, but we're preparing for the worst. It's entirely too early to say right now. It's a fair question, and we'll probably be able to answer that sometime tomorrow. But a blizzard is high winds sustained over a 3-hour period and visibility of less than a quarter mile for that period of time. And they are predicting, with respect to this storm, those conditions. So those are snowfalls of as much as 3 inches in an hour could be widespread tomorrow.
And you still have people who are along the shoreline who haven't even begun to really recoup from the damage from Sandy. How devastating could this be for them?
Listen, I think it is devastating potentially for them. There are serious or moderate flooding notices going out for Western Sound, and the whole shore is receiving a level of flooding warnings. So this is a serious event, and again, a lot of that will depend on how the storm forms, what exactly the track of it is, and whether it picks up speed or stays at what is currently projected to be fairly slow movement.
So I was saying before you came on the air that my recollection from 35 years ago that everyone's comparing this to was that the biggest problem was that it was an afternoon drive blizzard, and that people got stuck on the interstates, and the DOTs couldn't do anything to move them out of the way. So it would be imperative to get people out of town early tomorrow.
That's why we're going to update based on 9 p.m. Weather forecast, which I will convene a discussion of. And that's why I'm saying we're presuming that we're opening as of the moment. We'll update that subsequently. But even presuming that we're opening in the morning, we're also presuming that we'll have early dismissal. That's our presumption at the moment. I'm trying to share as much information as we can. Obviously, this is a very serious occurrence. We don't bring you out and bother you like this. If we're not taking it seriously, we're taking it very seriously, including ordering and staging additional meetings tonight, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., a municipal meeting at 10 a.m., and presumably an update for you all at 12 o'clock tomorrow.
You could call off non-essential personnel later tonight if the models are cascading.
That's why I'm specifically warning people that we are going to take another look based on. We're going to get weather updates at 7, and we're going to get weather updates at 9. Based on those two weather updates, things are susceptible to be changed.
Governor, this storm versus what you're hearing about this storm versus Storm Sandy versus the October snowstorm, which left virtually a good part of the state without power. In terms of preparations, how would you rate the scale of preparations given what we've had in the past?
Well, I think it's a very different storm than the October storm because the trees don't have foliage. We're going to experience damage, tree damage, but it's not going to be to trees that are carrying all of their foliage, which was really the main problem in that October storm. So I think point of reference would be, and people should think about the storm that occurred on January 11th or 12th of 11 as the storm to compare. Now, that storm led to a declaration in Connecticut for parts of Connecticut as a disaster. It did cause a substantial amount of damage. Over the course of the remaining winter, it led to higher accumulations on roof structures, for instance. So, these are all concerns that we have. I will be prepared to declare whatever I need to declare as far as states of emergency come tomorrow. Those documents are being prepared. We're certainly looking at our roadways and the protection of our highways. We'll certainly reach out to our partners in New York and New Jersey to try to coordinate our activity with respect to truck traffic in particular, given the high winds. So all of this is being worked on as we speak. We're reaching out to our airport folks and certainly want to do everything to avoid that kind of backup of planes, and we have to make sure that New York and Boston are fully aware of what our capacity is to unload planes so that they don't land planes here that we can't unload, which is exactly what happened in one of those storms as well. So we got a lot of work to do, and we're going to continue to do it.
You said